I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but you may feel like you're not qualified to DJ this wedding. You can't do this. You don't have the skills or the experience to be able to make this awesome. So if you're experiencing any doubt or frustration or fear, that's normal. And we're going to talk about that today on the Wedding DJ School podcast. Hey, my name is Josh Mitchell, and this is the Wedding DJ School podcast. The goal is to help you grow a business that allows you to be a wedding DJ over and over and over again, and in a way that makes that fun, makes that something that you're excited to do. And today we're talking about resilience. We're talking about how do you deal with fear? How do you deal with insecurity? How do you deal with not feeling qualified? And how can you bounce back so that you can do more events with success and have that right mindset and right attitude? We're going to talk about that today on the episode. We do create a PDF guide to help you extract the information that you learn so that you can apply it and put it into use in your own life. You can find that PDF at weddingdjschool.com/podcast. You can also find it by texting Wedding DJ to 44222, and we will email you. We'll ask for your email address via text message, and then we'll email you the information that way. So we'd love to be able to make things useful and practical for your own life, and I hope that you would do that for today's material. So we're talking about kind of these insecure things. We're talking about things like fear and vulnerability and not feeling qualified. And right off the bat, that is totally normal. If you're feeling like you're not sure that you can do this, you're not sure you're equipped, you're not sure that you're qualified, it's totally normal to have those feelings. In fact, some of the most top achievers and top performers have those same feelings, even at the top of their game when they've had some of the most big successes and accolades and those kinds of things. So just know that it is human to feel like you're not qualified. It's human to have some of those fears and some of those insecurities. But I want to talk about some practical things today that are going to help you to stay resilient. Resilience is kind of this idea of being able to bounce back when something goes wrong. So we all experience negativity in our lives. We experience setbacks and things happen that don't go wrong. People say stupid things sometimes that sting and they hurt, or maybe we have a real failure. Equipment fails, or we executed something poorly and we are just feeling really low, really discouraged about that. What do we do to be able to bounce back, to be able to get back to that place of success, to be able to get back to that place where you feel like you're in control, where you feel like you can do it again and have that energy and that enthusiasm? And that's the idea of resilience, so that you can take things that are seemingly negative or that look like a dead end and turn them into an opportunity. And a lot of that comes from psychology, and a lot of this is becoming more and more popular. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff today, and I think that it's so applicable for the business owner, because think about this. If you're going to be in business for the long haul, you've got to be able to bounce back when negativity happens, not if. Negativity is going to happen. You're going to have experiences that don't go as you thought they would, and you have to be able to transform those negative experiences, to be able to spin them back in your head or in the right direction so that you can move forward, so that you can keep moving forward with resilience, and that you can keep moving forward and have that success mindset. So it's not just about sweeping that stuff under the rug and pretending like it doesn't matter. It's really about learning how to have a plan when things go wrong. So we talked about that a little bit in our episode about backups, and I think that having a practical plan for your equipment and just making sure that you're flexible in terms of the timeline is definitely something that can help in that category. But still, you're going to experience setbacks in your life that put you in a place where you feel like you can never do this again, where you feel like you just want to quit. So having a resilient mindset and talking about some of this stuff is going to help you to stay in the game for the long run. And it's really when you stay in the game for the long run that you're going to see a lot of success, a lot of growth, and being in this for longer than just a year or two, but that you're going to do this for maybe 3, 5, 10 years, and that you're going to have the energy and kind of a mindset and an attitude that's going to allow you to grow and allow you to succeed. So first I want to talk about learned helplessness. Learned helplessness was popularized by Martin Seligman, and you can learn more about his research and stuff if you just Google his name. But learned helplessness is this idea that when something bad happens, you feel like you're helpless and you can't do anything to change it. And you're in this cycle of negativity. You're in this cycle feeling like, number one, it's personal to you. You created this. You're the one, and it's your own personal failure that put you into this spot. And you're a pretty crappy person. And then you move on to this next idea of pervasiveness. It's not just you. Everything in your life that you do is screwed up and messed up. And then it becomes permanent. You talk about, oh, it's never going to change. I'm stuck. This is just where I'm at. I'm in a rut and things are never going to be any different. So we see this pattern of personalize, make it pervasive, and then make it permanent. And this is what learned helplessness is like. You're in this constant cycle of feeling like nothing's ever going to change. You're feeling rejected personally, and you feel like it just extends to everything in your life. And you're in a position right there of learned helplessness. And it's going to continue unless you step in and make a change. Wherever you're at, if you're in that mindset right now for anything in your life, it's not going to change until you make a change. And that sounds like really obvious, right? But if you're in that loop of making things personal, pervasive, and permanent, you've got to find a way out of that. And one of the ways out of that is to regain control. And you can regain control by having the appropriate relationships in your life, having the, positive relationships and people that see you for, your strengths and not just your weaknesses, but they see the good that's in you, and having them encourage you, having them affirm you and build you up. But then also recognizing, I think I'm personalizing this a little too much. So just notice that. Notice if somebody makes a comment to you that just feels like a dig, are you falling into the pattern of letting that just take over you? And then is it then falling into pervasiveness and permanence? And if so, recognizing that is a huge step. So recognizing the 3 Ps, thinking, is a huge step. But then the next thing that you want to do is you want to regain control. And you can do that by figuring out what you can't control. So I would encourage you to write down on a piece of paper, what are all the things in your life that you can't change? There's things that you're not going to be able to ever change in your life, and they're worrying you, they're bothering you, they're weighing heavily on you. Write those things down that you can't change, and then take some time to write down what you can change. You can change your attitude. You can change, when you go to sleep at night and how much energy you have when you go into a day. You can change your mindset, and you can change the way that you think about something. You can learn more about things. You don't just have to stay stuck in a rut. So write down what you can change, write down what you can control and what you can do differently. And then realize in that moment, you can't put a ton of energy into the things that you can't change. And you can spend all the time in the world trying to change those things, but let's be honest, there's certain things that you're never going to be able to do differently. But you can make a difference for the things that you control. You can control your own composure. You can control, how you show up, how you exercise, how you go to sleep. All of those things are going to contribute to, a sense of agency in your life. They're going to contribute to a sense of, meaning, and you're going to feel like you're back in the driver's seat again. So be thinking about what can't you control, and then contrast that to the things that you can control. And you want to be aware of both of these things on a daily basis so that you can stay in the driver's seat. That's really what this is about. So learned helplessness can often come when negative comments are made. It can come from a negative experience. Maybe something happens to you and you're wondering, why is this happening to me? Why didn't this happen to somebody else? So be thinking about how you can regain control by having the appropriate awareness of what you can control. We're going to move on, and we're going to talk about this idea of acting as if. So sometimes you just need to act as if you are the experienced DJ. You need to act as if you have unlimited funds. You need to act as if things are going the way that you wish they would. And this idea of acting as if is the ability to kind of level up in the moment, even when things aren't going your way. Like I said before, even the high achievers, even the people with the highest accolades and the people that we would consider at the top of their field, they practice this principle of acting as if. It's talked about in Michael Port's book called Steal the Show, and you can learn more about that principle. But you want to act as if you had $1 million in your bank account. Act as if everything was going properly. And you might wonder, how do I do that? It's kind of the principle of fake it till you make it. Sometimes you just need to put on your face and act like things are going well, even if they're not. Because often people will respond to the approach that you're bringing to the table. So if you're bringing to the table a position of stress and overwhelm and insecurity, people are going to feed off that energy. They're going to feed off the stress and the insecurity and your position there. And they're also going to feel in that spirit. But what's interesting is when you start acting as if everything's going well and that you're confident and everything's going to be okay, sometimes everybody else just takes a deep breath and realizes, yeah, it is all going to be okay. Amy Cuddy talks about this in her book, Presence. She talks about the power pose, when you put your hand on your hips. I forget what it's actually called, but the physiology of the human, body actually works when you when you go into this position for a little while. I think it might be even called akimbo, it might be this. Anyway, when you stand in that certain position for a period of time, your body and your mind starts to adapt. So there's certain things that we do in our physicality that can affect the way that we think, that can affect our mindset. So this idea of acting as if is like, act as if you did own the world a little bit. If you're in that place of vulnerability, if you're feeling like, I've got that part figured out, you're probably not listening to this by this point. But if you're already in a place of confidence, you might not need to go into that pose. But sometimes when you're feeling really low, you've got to stick your head up a little bit. And you've got to kind of get into the right position and realize you have agency. You can do this. You can be successful. And it's not just positive thinking. It's the idea that our bodies are wired and our mind is wired to respond to the way that our body is positioned. So if you are kind of have your phone down and you're like, your head down and you're looking at your phone and you're kind of in this, fetal position or whatever, you're probably going to feel a little bit more sad, a little bit more depressed in that side of things. Whereas if you were to stand and, sit up straight, we were told in school, hey, sit up straight. Part of that is because your mind acts differently when you're in that position of upright and being alert and being in the moment. So our physicality can have a big part of that, and then our mind can react. The last thing that I would say, this last section today, is about affirmations and kind of knowing who you are and knowing who are the people in your life that are your biggest cheerleaders, who are the people that support you, that see the good in you. And we all have so many voices in our lives that are telling us different things. And there's certain voices that are detractors. There's other voices that are supporters. And we've got to identify who are the people in our life that support us, who are the people that are our biggest cheerleaders, that are for us, and how can we surround ourselves with them in a healthy dosage? So think about, can you grab coffee with them? Can you grab lunch? Can you make sure that you hang out with them? If you're feeling like you're in a season of depression or you're in a season of just like, negativity and you're not able to get out of it, think about who are the people in your life that support you and that see you as a fantastic person, you're a bright person, and they just see the good that's in you. Have you spent time with them recently? And maybe you need to schedule some time to get together with them to just hang out and be in their presence. And who are the people in your life that maybe you don't want to give as much airtime to? A good author, and I think of him as a friend, even though I never talked to him in my life. I read this guy named Bob Goff, and I've just read and listened to so much of him that I feel like I know him. But he talks about this idea of who are you giving the microphone to in your life? And sometimes we give the microphone to the wrong person, and they are saying things that we really shouldn't be hearing because it's negative, it's kind of pulling us down, and it's kind of detracting us. I think there's another book called The Energy Bus, and it's this idea of energy vampire. People can suck the energy right out of us, and that can be really discouraging, and it can put us in a place of depression and vulnerability, kind of in the bad way. So how can you surround yourself and give the microphone to the right people? Be really selective to the people that you allow to speak into your life about who you are as a person and to encourage you in that aspect. And just think about how can you get availability with them? How can you get time on the books? And then how can you make sure that you're staying in that mode, that you're keeping attentive to the truth. You're keeping attentive to what is true about you, what you can affirm about yourself. And when you do that, you're going to start to build a team of connection and trust that's around you. And you want to protect that. You want to make sure that that is something that's important to you, something that you're very clear and that you know about, so that when you do get down, you can fill the voices around you with the right kind of speaking and the right kind of thinking. So we talked about learned helplessness, the 3 Ps, personalized, pervasive, and permanence. We talked about things that you can't control and things that you can control and getting clear about what that is. The exercise of writing that down is really powerful. If you just sit down and write out the things that you can't control and write out the things that you can, your mind is going to go into this place of, oh my gosh, I didn't realize all these things that I could control. And Carol Dweck's book on mindset talks about that as well. You can have a fixed mindset and think about, oh, I can't do anything about anything. Or you can develop and kind of nurture a growth mindset, a mindset that allows you to learn new things, that allows you to seek advice, that allows you to grow and get to the place that you're trying to go to. So just be thinking about that and keep it in front of your face. So write it down. I think the act of actually writing it with a pen or a pencil can be helpful. You can type it, but if you are a kinesthetic person, you like the act of writing things down, do it on a whiteboard or a chalkboard or a big Post-it note or something like that, and really think clearly about the things that you can control in your life, about the things that you do have agency over. It's going to encourage you. And then we talked about your affirmations and kind of just acting as if and keeping the right voices around you, people that can encourage you, that can inspire you, the people that motivate you and give you energy. How can you give them a lot more airtime in your life? So in closing, this is all about resilience. This is all about bouncing back when negativity happens. And in a service-based industry, like being a DJ, you are going to experience this kind of stuff over and over again. I've experienced photographers that have not spoken very kindly to me. I've experienced wedding planners and people like that have been in just a bad mood. And then that sometimes, rubs off on me. And then I'm like, why am I in a bad mood? And having a place of resilience for the long term. So we're not just talking about one event, one day, one experience here. We're talking about developing a lifelong practice of resilience, of staying in the game, of staying energized, of staying in that good spirit. And I know that it can happen for you with the proper learning, with the proper models and the proper stuff that's out there that helps us learn more about this. So a lot of great resources that will be linked in the PDF guide for today's episode. I also mentioned a couple of those books that could be helpful resources to you in the process. I am not a clinical psychologist or anything like that, but I've learned so much from the different books and teaching that is out there. And what I realize is it's helped me as a DJ grow my business, so I don't know if you've seen that connection in this episode. I hope it's clear to you, but when you grow as a person and you grow in your ability to stay confident and to stay resilient and to not be beaten down when bad things happen, you're going to be able to stay in business longer because you realize, oh yeah, this is just part of business. So again, I'm not sure where you're at or what you're dealing with right now, but what I can tell you is you can get through it. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to know that there are people like me that are out there rooting for you, that if you're in a low place right now, there's a way to overcome it. And I definitely want to be a help to you in that aspect. I think a resilient DJ is one that's going to be so much more receptive to learning. But also, when you're working with people, you're coming from a place of humility because you realize, look, I'm just here to serve. I'm here to do a good job, and that your desire is to create that fascination, to serve the guest and kind of lead them with confidence and enthusiasm. So a lot of that just stems from our ability to be able to deal with negativity and to deal with the stuff that comes our way that sometimes just isn't so great. So I hope you enjoyed this episode today. Like I said, check out the PDF guide at weddingdjschool.com/podcast. You can also text in Wedding DJ to 44222. We will ask for your email address and then send you the PDF guide via email. And I hope that is useful to you to help you stay resilient in your journey to become a professional wedding DJ.